All right, here we are. So, Ron, super excited to have you. I know you just officially made the announcement, but here at LPT Realty and our group, Real Estate CEOs, we're super excited to have you. Quick background, and maybe you can add some color to this. Ron and I met years ago because we're part of the same coaching forum. Our amazing coach, John Cheplack, love that guy. And we were coaching with him. We've got to do business together in terms of growing our businesses. Yeah, opposite sides of the country, but at the same time, right? And really focus on that. So, man, I first want to just say I'm excited because I appreciate you and love you as a friend. Second,
Well,
I think it's going to
that's
be
really cool. Thanks.
yeah, and I also think it's great for your business. So this is not about me; it's more about you. And tell me a little bit about how we ended up here, because I know you as a killer, fiercely independent guy. There's been some things thrown in your world lately, so share with us how we ended up here.
Yeah. Well, the first thing is, man, a lot of love right back to you and your family. And John was a big influence on me for coming up on 4 years with him, and that's been really, really good. And we were in the sales coaching forum that you led, and we spent a year really getting to know each other and talking about business and how to help agents grow their business, how to attract the right people and the right systems. It wasn't pitchy. It wasn't about anything other than helping people, fund their lives through the growth of real estate. It was really good.
Yeah.
I don't know, was out there 5 times. I came out to San Diego that year. I felt like I had a second home out there. But we spent a lot of time together just breaking bread and doing things. And when that ended, we didn't stop communicating, which is really good. And, if you know about my kid in the soccer, and I see your boys playing football, but, we just kept in touch. I think you and I connected on a personal level, and all the other stuff just, it came along with it. But, what's interesting is if I met you someplace that wasn't real estate, we'd still be friends.
Yeah.
And we barely talk about real estate.
Yeah. I mean, I look back at those times where we've just had a Friday call and both of us are sitting around having a drink, just chatting about life. Right.
Yeah. The video happy hour, huh?
Yeah, exactly.
And the no talking about real estate. That's just not that. And I think that's something you and I share, is that I think we're both committed to success for our families and those around us and helping people around us. But I was on this, I'm on this journey, fiercely independent. I've owned my own businesses most of my life. Brief interlude at a big box company years ago. But most of that has been an independent time, and I really enjoy that piece. Over the last year or so, there's hurricanes and things in Florida, and we were running and gunning, doing good. A lot of things have conspired together where I found myself doing more of the things that don't give me passion, don't give me energy. Paperwork and broker responsibilities and making sure the E&O is right and all the other things. Now, I can do that along with it, but my sweet spot is talking to people about how to invest in real estate, how to purchase their home, and how to help others accomplish the same thing. And so this is a really good segue into the next part of my journey in this space. And so I'm really excited about this piece. No regrets. I'm not leaving anything on the table. Well, one thing, you got to set your ego aside a little bit to be a part of something larger, and I'm ready for that.
So tell me a little bit about that. What do you mean by setting your ego aside and stepping into something larger? I think I know what you mean by that, but maybe there's somebody watching who says, well, you're an independent broker. How is this a bigger, larger thing for you?
Yeah. So it starts out with, you ran a really big team. I ran a big team. And for attracting people to come into that, they had to fit in this little box. You had to come and work on a team. The leader's name was going to go on the sign. It wouldn't, you'd be branded alongside of it, but not necessarily first, probably second. And if you weren't going to join the team, there really wasn't a place we're a small brokerage, in comparison to the big ones. So there wasn't a space where you could independently come in and grow your own team. So now if you think about that, maybe 1 or 2 out of 10 people that I spoke to that really wanted to join the team, unless they wanted to fit in that box, it wasn't going to be for them. So we had these really, really good conversations that there wasn't a fit. And this opens up a door now where I can help other agents, whether they want to be a part of a team or grow their own business. I can coach or mentor if that's what they want in either area. And that gives me a lot of energy. I'm excited about that.
And where do you see this? Because you and I had these conversations, right? you really believe in what it is that LPT is doing from the agent perspective. So how do your agents win in this scenario? I know we talked a little bit about it right now, but I know that was the forefront of your mind. And mostly what we're going to talk about real briefly at the end is like the smallest part. Talk to me about how your agents benefit and how you see this working.
Well, a couple of things. So, the ego play, yeah, it's Wise Home Team Realty for up until today. And it was really good. And it wasn't about the ego, it was about building the brand and the business, which I'm a builder. I like to build things. But I also realized, I just asked myself the honest question over the last year. Am I doing everything in my power to enhance the experience for my agents, to help them to reach the mutual success together, to fund their life and fund their family while they trade all this time and energy for dollars?
Yeah.
And more, I found that the systems that I needed to continually put in place and revamp and reinvest in, like most people, it became overwhelming. And I found more time trying to fix this widget or do that or study that next new thing. And I'm like, man, I'm exhausting myself in all the areas of energy that was really just a time suck for me.
Yeah.
We all buy one of these phones, and the minute we spend a lot of money on it, and 2 days later, it's completely obsolete, and you got to do it again. Yep. Well, much the same way when you do the marketing in the real estate space. And says, all right, we've always had really, really, really good marketing. Is there a place that would be better? And is there a place we could scale the business differently than what we're doing right now? And more, the answers just became obvious that it was time to, let's find out something that we could go to that we feel good about that would benefit the people around me. And I mean, other than, if I was to continue to be selfish, I would just stay here. We would all have good business. We would all make some money, so to speak. We would all do really good. But for the overall benefit of everybody around me, I need to set aside that ego and that piece to help them do more and do better for their families long term. And this became a pretty obvious choice over time. And it's easy and it made sense.
That's awesome. And those are the things that are really important, right? Is if it makes sense, right? When you look at the opportunity, and not just does it make sense for the team leader, does it make sense for the broker, but does it make sense for the agents? How was that? How was that conversation with your agents? And by the way, you and I haven't spoken about this much, but how was that conversation? And tell me a little bit about that transition.
Well, I mean, I'm not somebody that sits on the fence and takes a long time to make a decision. I've been studying, and you probably similarly, you studied the models, you came to an absolute decision, and boom, and you were done. And for me, it was that way. I met Robert Palmer, 10 years ago. I was a team leader at a big box brokerage. And he came out with one of his attorney friends. We spent a few hours together. He actually drove out to me. And at the time, he was talking about, the mortgage company, and just opportunities in general. Mm-hmm. He never sat there and gave me an inducement or a pitch or anything else. We just talked about business, our moral compass, our core values. I'm like, this is crazy. We look, talk, walk. We think alike. We're different people, but we had so much commonality. At the time, though, I says, listen, I'm with this guy that's been with me the whole way. I'm fiercely loyal. If this guy gets hit by a bus or quits the business, you're my next call, but I'm going to ride it with this guy because he's been there every step of the way with me. He's like, I can't argue with that. So he actually never pitched me, so to speak. We just found a common place of value. And I just, tucked it back here. And over the years, we'd keep in touch. We'd follow along, video here, conversation there. Yeah. Not unlike you and I do it more frequently. But I'm like, hey, someday it's going to make sense to work together. So as I got closer to where I was emotionally ready to do this, I just sent him a message and said, listen, can you and I have a quick conversation, about what this might look like? And what he didn't, he brought along some of his team members, but he jumped on the call. I didn't reach out to a lot of people. I went straight to him. I said, listen, I need to know, you know me, I know you. Am I a fit? Yes, just yes or no. Here's what I bring to the table. Here's my baggage. Is this a fit? Yes or no? Mm-hmm. And I didn't have to leave anything up on the table in order to make this move, which was good. And then he asked, why are you doing this? I says, because right now your runway is a bigger runway with more resources than I can personally provide long-term to scale and grow those businesses with the people around me. So it becomes an obvious choice.
So that's where the ego part really comes in. Yeah. Right. Is your runway is bigger than mine. And if I really care about the people that I'm leading, this is a better platform for me. Because I think it's easy to say, hey, we got to set our ego aside. And I think guys like you are really attuned to that. But that's where the rubber meets the road, right? Is just kind of having that level of awareness for yourself and concern for the people that you're leading. Just say, hey, listen, your runway is bigger than mine. Because ultimately, that's the only reason anybody would even click to watch this video is why would a guy like Ron do that? Right?
So I'm not going to lie. I've gotten a few head snaps over the last hour. I put just a quick post out there, and I'm not a pitchy guy, and I'm not the guy that's going to try to sell you on something that doesn't matter or might serve me more than you. A matter of fact, I probably run for that sort of thing. Look, there's a lot of people out there that can do that part really well, and it's important. For me, it's contribution. It's how can I help others grow, and this gives me a space where if somebody wanted to be on my team, I can help them to a certain level. Mm-hmm. But there wasn't a way for me to help them if they want to start their own team that made sense in this brokerage. They would move on, and I would still help them. But now, okay, so I'm helping somebody in a different brokerage, which I wasn't worried about the competition. It wasn't as easy. Now it's like, listen, you can come over here, be a part of the team, or hey, you can start your own team. Either way, I'm here to help. Now my energy kicks in because now I get a lot of passion for doing this, a lot of happiness out of doing this, and whatever contribution I make over the next 10 years or so, now I get to walk the walk. I've been doing it all along, but I could do it to a wider group of people.
Yeah. Well, so let's talk about that too, because I think a lot of brokers and team leaders, they have that same challenge that frankly, I thought was going to be solved at my last brokerage, which is, hey, I train up these people and I have a really, pretty good front door getting people in, but what about the back door? Right. And I train these people and then they go to my competitors and they go, I know you're the type of guy who's going to pick up the phone call no matter what. But to that point, isn't it that much better when, hey, even if you do decide to leave my team, we're still part of the same ecosystem and we still get to help each other. I think that's one of the unknown factors, or a lot of reason. It's a big reason why people are making the move in terms of teams and small brokerages. But it's also one of those things where I think oftentimes it's overlooked what that can look like. So talk to me. So real estate CEOs, that's our group, right? But we're part of LPT. We love everybody at LPT. Our group is focused on helping agents, right? Helping them build their business, helping them scale up to wherever they want to go, whether that's being the best solo agent in your market or running the best team in your state. That's what we're focused on. So one of the main reasons I'm excited is because how much of a giver you are. So you mentioned that forum where I was facilitating that forum for a year with about 16 to 20 other teams across the country. And this isn't me just, fluffing you up or anything. Anybody who is in that forum will say the same thing. You were one of the major contributors, right? And you and Susan, those two people just pop out as like just instinct givers, always giving, always adding value. So for me, I'm really excited about how that's going to play out with real estate CEOs. I know you're not a pitchy guy, but tell me a little bit about how you want to help the group, right? Like, how do you see yourself contributing to the ecosystem? Because I know in other words, let me shorten that all up by saying, I know you're not a taker, you're a giver. How are other people in the group going to see that play?
Well, let me walk it back really quick. So like John, Matt, huge contributors to that group as well. And I believe that the collective genius within that group was really good. Oh, yeah. And man, some really good memories out of that. And I carry those with me. And I know you just mentioned the name of your group over here, but I wouldn't have known it until you just told me. The reason I came over was because this made sense for every person in my ecosystem to go there. And then because you're there, I says, listen, you're a guy that you and I had alignment personally. That's where this all came. It's not about the group or this, like it's all important. It's going to grow. And I promise you, if somebody wants to talk about, I don't know, groups or rev share or this, it's all there. It's all important, but there's enough people talking about that. Yeah. Where I want to come from the space of contribution. Now, the other stuff, if we do the right thing and we work with the right people, with the right energy and take the right action, the sales will come, it will bring more people, it will naturally evolve. Yeah. But if anybody studied even for like 30 seconds, you would know a couple of things. First, there's a number of companies that have profit shares and rev shares. About 80% of the people don't participate in it. And of the 20% in there, 10% only make a couple of bucks. So it's not really a big play. 90% of people aren't doing it. kind of like the 90% fail rate in real estate.
In general, yeah.
And when we also, because you've recruited the teams for years, about 1 out of 10 actually makes it through recruiting on a team. I'd say 2 out of 10 makes it short term, 1 out of 10 makes it long term. That's about what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And so when somebody's in a team environment, they're on the team, they have a certain split, a certain cap, and a certain this and that. But if they leave the team, all that stuff increases and accelerates.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, inherently, it's not a good thing, because let's say that you grew to the point where you felt you're ready to go out on your own, or maybe there was something in the, like me, like we're builders. So I attract builders, but they can't build with me. I put this really not artificial, this real lid above them. You can't go any further with me. Now you got to leave the nest. And I think, all right, so where's a place that I can go to that, is there a place where they can go and not have any financial penalty and actually support, genuine support? Isaac, it's been great. You've been with us for 3 years. You want to go out on your own and build your team? Listen, I could ask you, how can I support you? And you would probably give me a couple of things, but I said, listen, I want to support you. Here's a couple ideas I have. Let's have that conversation, which is different because now there's action within that. I've got, that's why I want to do this. All the other stuff that comes with it is going to happen if I do the right thing. I don't have to think about it. I just have to help more people grow their business. In an industry where fundamentals are lacking, they've gotten soft over the last few years, accountability is out the window, and a lot of people they're not having the years they were having, and they're freaked out. So I want to be a part of that solution to help keep them in the business, because this business needs every person of integrity to stay in it.
Yeah, 100%. So like looking at that, and you looking at it from your angle as an independent broker and a team leader, that all makes sense and I understand it. Is there any other angles you looked at LPT, and what are the things that stood out to you about it that you said, this is a no-brainer across the board?
I mentioned the runway. Our marketing has always been really, really good. But over time,
it's quick too.
It gets competitive, and me. I mean, we've been together at conferences and whatnot, and there'll be something on there, and I'm sure you know the story because you did a Facebook Live of me doing a Facebook Live. It was kind of funny.
Yep. For those who don't know,
tell the story.
We ended a conference. The conference ended, and everyone's breaking.
3 days.
3-day conference. We're breaking for the day. And everyone's doing their thing, right? And checking their flights, chatting with each other, figuring out where you're going to go for dinner. And I turn around and Ron's right there. Facebook Live, executing on a strategy that we had just learned maybe hours before, if that. And he was doing it. So I was inspired by that, being like, listen, look at all these people that are all great, amazing people, but no one was taking action as quickly as you were. And so I had to go share that. That was maybe 2 years ago. I'm surprised you remember that.
It was Tahoe.
Yeah.
And I think it was 2020. It was pretty funny. Justice like, you're on Facebook Live twice. Like, what are you talking about? So like, oh, you, Isaac, like, I'm like, huh? And she's like, you guys planned? I'm like, I didn't plan any of that. That was just,
I was just inspired by how quickly you're taking action. It's like, dude,
so I'm inspired, same as you, by people that take action. It's a really, really big thing. And I want to be around people that take action. A lot of people are already examining this opportunity, and you're a resource. I will now also be a resource, but for someone that is ready to take action, it's worth a look. I mean, it was a hard thing to go back after being at a big box place and having a team there and all established, and the whole, I got 50 listings. Can I take them? Can I not? And caps. I mean, it's a mess trying to leave that situation and launch at the same time. We went through that. And then, you're suddenly doing things that I had prior businesses. So I knew about this, but the tax IDs and the E&O insurance and all the stuff that comes along with it that you have to do or pay someone to do and hope they get it right. And the accounting side of it. I mean, I'm really good at that, but that's not what gives me energy. So I'm going to keep going back to the win for me is that I get to narrow my focus on the things I like to do the best, which can affect the most people that help grow their business. And a lot of that other stuff, you know what? Hey, Robert, he's got a big legal team. He's got compliance officers. He's got a broker for the state. I become a broker associate. Okay. So maybe I don't have to read every line of every contract as the last line of defense. I still need to read it. But on a day when I'm a little bit tired or not paying attention, now I've got some support behind me that's also going to check behind me to make sure that we're compliant. Now, it sounds little, but until you sat in a compliant chair, it's different. And when you're done, you're not ready to jump back on the phone. You're like, man, I'm kind of shot. So that's a really big thing for me that maybe not everybody sees right now. But if you think about your own business, maybe you're trying to figure out the right postcard or the right video or the right email to send out. I can spend more time helping people with that to take that off of their plate. So this is reciprocal in every way.
Well, that's awesome. And, I think the last thing to kind of touch on was, and you already talked about it, all the things that are there, the rev share and the stock and all that fun stuff. Although that does play into it, that's great. It's icing on the cake. The primary focus is agents in our business, right? Real estate first. And so I'm just grateful to be partnered up with you. And I know I'm going to be using you as a resource because you've been able to execute so well in your marketing departments, with your ISAs, your training with your agents. Any parting thoughts in any of this that you want to share with everybody, or before we wrap up this call? Because I'm excited. I'm super pumped. And we're going to be doing some great things together, helping agents across the country. But anything you want to share before we run out of here?
Yeah, you and I talk sometimes about how everybody turns right, I turn left. And I've always been a little bit different how I approach things. So for anybody that's watching this, like, what's the catch? Why did you move? So let me just get at the elephant in the room for those of you with the conspiracy theory. I would have made this move without the rev share, without the stock, but I would have made it without that, because I can serve more people. Now, because it's there, if I do the right thing, there's an additional way to be enriched, my family, your family, and that's good. But it made sense as a broker and an agent to make this move, to be able to do things that I simply could not do as well on scale by myself with the time and resources I currently have. I like to get a little bit of my life back, so I'm not worried about the rev share. It'll take care of itself. That's only going to help 1 or 2 people out of 10. Being on a team is only going to help 1 or 2 out of 10. So my left turn right now is to do like nobody saw this coming. I mean, you and I were talking the other day, and you had no idea I was doing this, which is kind of funny.
Yeah,
we were talking about everything and you didn't pitch me on it. Like, but not that you would, but you're like, like, if he's going to make a move, he doesn't need anybody twisting an arm. He's just going to do it. And you're right. But I actually, other than my wife and Robert and a couple of people on the call, I mean, nobody knew about this. And so you were probably about the first person that knew about it. You're like, huh? I mean, you almost glossed over it. Like, oh, wait, you said what? And so
it was kind of in passing. I was like, oh, all right, let's do this.
Well, it was kind of a head snap for you, so I expect it to be a head snap for a couple of people. I would never want to be disingenuous to those around me, or not honor my family and not stand by my core values and what I stand for. It's the best possible move for everybody around me. And any of the other things that come along with it, it's just bonus. It's icing on the cake. And I get to spend an increasing amount of time with people like you, which is really cool.
Yeah, man, I'm grateful for it. I'm excited for it. We'll go ahead and wrap up here. But Ron, this is just the beginning of just us partnering up to help agents across the country. So anybody who's watching, if you do have any questions, if you want to learn more about Ron, his business, how he does things, you just want some insight and why he might have made the move, or just real estate in general, and you have no interest in LPT, we're open books. Make sure you reach out to Ron. Ron, where can they best find you? Should they message you on Facebook, Instagram? Well, you tell me.
Yeah. A couple of things. One thing I didn't mention, you and I have been like in the arena for a long time together, but now we got the same jersey on, which is kind of fun.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And I like that. And that's Robert with you and a lot of people, we got the same team out. So that's energizing. As far as reaching me, I think a lot of people would see me on Facebook. I don't check Instagram incessantly, so that's probably not a good way to reach me. A lot of you got my cell phone number. It's probably out there. There's a lot of ways to reach me. What I will do is come to you a space of contribution. What does John say? Listen, you're good where you are, and you're probably not thinking of making a move. But if you want to have a conversation about you and your business and how you can grow it, that's the conversation that we can have.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to have any strings attached to it. And if the outcome's one of a couple of things. It helps you grow your business, and it helps you enhance where you already are. And if anything ever changes, I can be your next resource to talk to if a change is ever going to happen. But I'm not going to spend any time pitching you recruiting. It should be as easy for you. If someone has to move over, it should be as intuitive for them and as easy as it was for me to just say, how do I sign up? I will never have to ask you if the value is there. So I won't.
Yeah, I think that's huge. And actually, I know I promise we're getting out of here, and we will. But one really important thing was I really got pitched and sold by a piece of paper, right? That's how much it made sense. Was someone's, I was like, well, send me the information. And then like, if I like what I see, I'll ask you to pitch me. Right. And I read through it and I was like, yeah, you should pitch me. You should pitch me. Because it just made sense, man. So
for me, it was like, talk me out of it.
Yeah.
What am I? It's like, all right, what am I missing here? Don't pitch me. Talk me out of it. Mm-hmm. And we couldn't.
It was unsuccessful.
It was
cool. We'll end on that note. If anybody wants to be talked out of LPT, reach out to Ron. He's got you covered. But in either case, brother, I appreciate you. Love you. Have a great rest of your day. And thanks everyone for checking it out. We'll see you soon.
You too, man. All right. This is going to be awesome. We'll see you.